welcome to the Street Pianists, a celebration of all the wonderful musicians who play street piano, even when nobody's listening. My name is Claire Sudbury, and I love watching and listening to people playing piano. I also love telling stories, and this story starts with a Facebook post from the producers of the piano TV show. They said that they were going to be outside Forsyth's piano shop on Deansgate in Manchester on a particular Saturday, and I decided to go along. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I felt extremely silly, like there was zero chance that I was going to end up on any TV show. But when I got there were a handful of other pianists. And I sang and I played a bit, and then another guy played a bit, and then he suggested that maybe he could accompany me singing. And between us, we worked out that he could play George Michael, Careless Whisper. And also, I discovered that I really like singing George Michael songs, which I honestly did not know. But it helped calm my nerves, and he was a really nice bloke. Then I went off, got on with my life. Fast forward, I did end up filming for the TV show, which meant that I got to go to the finale concert. And on my way to the concert, I said to my husband, I wonder if we'll see that guy who played Careless Whisper for me outside Forsyth's piano shop. But he wasn't there. I thought maybe he might be in the audience, but he wasn't. And then I got distracted. And then I got a message from my son, Oscar, with a photograph of a Steinway grand piano in the Arndale shopping centre in Manchester. A few people apparently had been getting up and playing this piano, but when I looked closely, the guy in the photo was the guy. It was the Careless Whisper guy. But if that wasn't spooky enough, when we left the venue a little while later, slightly drunk, on the street piano outside the venue, I kid you not, it was the same guy again. So his name is Anthony Thomas, and this is his story. Hello, Anthony.
Hello.
It's great to chat to you, and I'm just absolutely fascinated by the fact that I keep seeing you all over the place playing street pianos.
I must just live at these pianos, yeah, in Manchester.
And so how often do you play street pianos?
Oh, it's most every other weekend or so, because the frequency of it is whenever they're out, really. That you hear on social media from other people I've met who are street pianists, oh, they put the pianos out, or oh, this one's been fixed, or do your head down, have a go.
And there isn't, so in Manchester, I discovered recently, when it's not part of Manchester Jazz Festival, there are actually very few street pianos. I only know of two, the one outside Forsyth and the one in Piccadilly Station. Are there any others that are there year round?
There were two. So there were two in Piccadilly Station. There's a big black one that they had for years, and slowly and surely that became more destroyed. The C and the G, generally, and you tend to need those keys. It's the boogie players, I blame the boogie players. And there was another one just round the corner in the station over at the infamous Platform 13 that was from Marlton. Just one there. Hidden round the back.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we used to do loads of duets on that with this this Holmes fella. And he could change keys all over the place. He was an absolute genius. How he was homeless, I don't know, he was super talented. And he would turn up and you'd give him a hook and everything and just do gospel and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But mainly bluesy stuff. Actually, I suppose one of the things about street piano is it's very responsive to the people walking past as well.
Yeah.
And the station's got this audience of people who are only going to hear you once because they're passing through.
Yeah.
So, I respond to the football fans coming in, play Glory Man United.
Yeah.
Or we'd play Blue Moon if it's City fans. So, we're completely team agnostic. we play songs for.
So, how much audience participation do you do?
Oh, God, loads.
And how does that work? How do you draw passers-by?
That's one of the biggest parts of what attracts me to it is audience participation. Because there's, especially somewhere with high footfall like a station, even outside Forsyth, because you've got musicians going in, generally.
Yeah.
And more often than not, you're going to find a singer who's just going to turn up and say, do you know this? Or could you listen to this? And they'll put a phone in your ear. And you'll try and pick the key and figure out the structure, play it for them, and then they'll sing along. It'll be their song, or it'll be some famous song. I've probably never heard the song before, but I've heard it in that moment.
Yeah.
Play it, and there's a duet in everyone.
See, now that really impresses me because I can't do that. The idea that you could just listen to something, work out the chord structure, and then accompany somebody. How long have you been able to do that?
You must know yourself being a pianist that so many songs are very similar. The structures are very similar.
I can't remember what it's called. Those 4 chords, the classic 4 chords that are behind like millions and millions of pop songs.
What is it? If you were to put it into the way jazz musicians describe songs like 1-4-5 or 1-5-6-4, that sort of structure.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have, say, a C to an E major to an A minor to an F. It's like a Radiohead kind of sound.
Yeah.
But most of them are the same. If someone comes over and you've listened to it and you figured out what that initial part of what the root is, and then you'll pick up the structure of it. You'll hear the relative pitch changes of it. Okay, and then they'll start singing it. It's fantastic.
And the other thing as well is that even if you work out the chord structure for a song, you're then going to have a particular way. You're basically just going to be playing a series of chords repeatedly, but the way that you play them is going to change, isn't it? You're not literally just playing a chord.
No, not necessarily. You'll do a 1-3 with them. Obviously they're going to be quite happy that you've figured out the song roughly.
Yeah.
So you'll go through it. They'll sing the melody. Once you've heard the melody, you can have that on top of your right hand.
Yeah.
Or accompaniment it a third up.
Yeah.
Whatever, and go with it. And you don't want to. This is the thing. Like when you play with singers, you don't want to dominate and repeat completely what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just probably a little bit out of their way.
Yeah.
It's not just chords.
Yeah.
It's hard to analyse it, isn't it? Because you're doing it in the moment.
Yeah. But also, you don't when you're accompanying. You're not necessarily just playing the chords as chords. You might be there might be arpeggios in there, or there might be a little bit of a flourish, so that it's not just all the notes played at once. And the rhythm's going to vary according to the feel of the song. And
so I'm not a music theorist, but I imagine the kind of things you do is if you've got the chords down and you can't figure the melody out, so all you've got is the chords.
Yeah.
You'll just like sus 2 them, sus 4 them, maybe bluesify, drop down from the minor third onto the third or something like that. As you go in and just give it a bit of a rhythmic, give it a pulse, maybe do an octave bass. So there's little things you can build up, and I think naturally that builds from your first little run through. You're just figuring it out to then something epic, decent. Yeah.
And would you say you're doing this every weekend? Going on finding street piano?
Every other weekend, yeah. More so this weekend because this big piano trailer.
Yeah.
It's become a bit of an obsession.
And is it like Saturday and Sunday, or just one day?
I've got life. I've got a girlfriend, so we do stuff on a Saturday, and then a couple of weeks back there was no piano trailer in Manchester, so I went to Leeds, and they've got loads out in different places over there. Completely different feel to it.
Yeah.
And I just met up with a few people I've met before.
Yeah.
There's a lot of boogie woogie players in Leeds. So you can jump on the top of the piano, give it a little bit of shimmer.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So when you meet other street pianists, do you swap details so that you can coordinate?
Instagram,
yeah.
And I never used to really care about social media or do anything like that. But really to facilitate comms with other street pianists, if you're going to go and see what they've done or swap details, like you need some presence on there. So, in general.
Oh, so what is your Instagram handle?
Oh, it's Anthony_MUFC. And I've got a TikTok as well called Given to Fly. So it's GIVENTOFLY.
And it's Anthony with an H?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. And how often do you publish on TikTok and Instagram?
Every week or two, something like that. Yeah.
So you just record yourself on a street piano and then stick it on there?
Pretty much.
Yeah, fantastic. And so I was listening to a podcast the other week about the TV programme The Piano.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because he was saying they've got this big thing about street pianos, but what they don't realise is there's this whole movement of amateur pianists who exist in a different space, and most of those people don't play street pianos, and the reason they don't play street pianos is because they're terrified, which I think is fair enough. So for a lot of people, the idea, and the first time I did it, the first few times I did it, it was like, whoa!
Like, who's watching me?
I'm about to perform in front of a completely strange audience who aren't expecting me, who probably don't care, probably going to think I'm shit, and like...
all of the above from it, I've thought all those things.
And a lot of people would just they'd never have the courage to do that. But did you have to get over that hump?
I've never cared. I've always just sat down and thought, if they like it. If they don't, I'll just never come back. So it's fine. And like, it's a great, like, it's a cleansing feeling of the knowledge. If you're sitting down in Piccadilly Station, they're all going to London, or they're going to disappear.
Yeah.
You'll never see them again.
Yeah.
However bum or rubbish you sound, it doesn't matter. No one's going to remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only people who remember it are the staff.
That's it for me. That is actually, I do exactly the same thing. That's how I've stopped being scared. I'm more or less not nervous now when I play street pianos.
Yeah.
And the way that I deal with it is I think none of these people care. I'm never going to see them again. They haven't paid to come and see me.
Exactly.
Most of them aren't paying a blind bit of notice anyway.
No one's going to come up to you and say, "Can I have a refund?"
A slightly odd, anonymous person in a corner. I'm going to go away. Never going to see them again. It's all fine. And I actually quite like it that I'm not as good as you, so I wouldn't be able to do audience participation because I haven't learned how to accompany or improvise. I would only be able to do audience participation if I found somebody who knew exactly the thing that I can already play in the key that I can play it. But
how many levels of it? I meet pianists of all different levels, and other musicians as well who aren't pianists who will want to come and join in. I remember I was in Piccadilly and this guy with a bugle turned up.
Oh, bugle,
and he
amazing.
just started playing this great like bugle jazz solo over the top of some, I think, Englishman in New York. So I was playing Englishman in New York, student song, and he just came in with this beautiful line over the top of it.
Wow.
Like, this is amazing. don't forget to keep playing it, because I wanted to stop and just admire them. And then we did, I think, Amazing Grace. So there's all these standard songs that you think, we'll know this.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first started playing in public, I didn't know anything that other people might know.
Yeah.
But you start to pick up things that you think other people might know, and then you put this bag of tricks in, so it prompts you out.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say is I quite like the fact that for me, there is no audience participation. Everybody's ignoring me.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel quite secure because nobody's paying attention anyway. But the thing is, what I was thinking about you is, you say all of these people are all travelling on somewhere and you're never going to see them again. Yeah. But if you are playing street pianos every weekend, then there must be some people who have seen you before because they're in the same place at the same time. Or maybe you happen to have moved between cities that they're also moving between.
Poor commuters have seen me all the time.
People recognising you.
Yeah, you get people who come up and they'll say, "Oh, I saw you last week." It's usually quite complimentary. They want to... Or, "Oh, I told my friend about you and he plays this," and you'll have this musical chat and maybe even give a little lesson if they're interested.
Yeah.
So I love doing that.
It's
like those kids earlier.
Exactly. Earlier on, we were in the corn exchange,
Yeah.
And two kids came up, and they were just intrigued, really, and they were interested, and they knew a tiny little bit about piano that they'd learnt at school. They were slightly put off by the fact that the keyboard didn't have numbers on the notes,
Yes.
so they didn't know which note was which.
So what C was and where E was. And
But it was wonderful the way you interacted with them and you encouraged them and you were like, "What do you know?" And then you were able to play along with one of them. He just played a simple single note melody, which I knew it, but I couldn't work out what it was. What was it?
Oh, it was a classical. It was being a classical song. I think it might be a Bach piece.
Yeah.
Was it Joyful?
It was that. It was that one.
Yeah, he knew it, and you think, okay, that's a hook into like his interest in this. And if he'll remember that tonight, and he might go to his keyboard and think, "I want to bed that in." Yeah. So that's just hugely encouraging.
I mean, that attitude. So I guess this is part of what makes you really well suited to being a street pianist. Is that I could see that for you the whole thing was community experience. So you happen to be playing the piano, but it's not like it's your piano. You're not hogging it. You're not resentful if somebody else comes along and they want to have a go. You're actually you're happy. You welcome them in, and you want it to be a collaborative experience. Yeah,
complete opposite of a hogger. I don't I've met pianists who have a bit of a should I say, they want to perform their pieces without being disturbed.
Yeah.
That's fine, that's nothing.
Yeah.
But me personally, if I'm playing and somebody wants to come and join in, they want to add anything to it.
Yeah.
Even if they're not even adding it very well, I'll show them what they could do.
Yeah.
And then join in. And
yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah. That's my ambition. I want to be able to duet with strangers ad hoc, just be able to do it.
Duet with you in a bit.
Yeah, we'll give it a go.
We'll try that on E1 big room. Summertime.
We could give that a go. Yeah. Piccadilly, when I played there, I was going around doing lots of street pianos.
Yeah.
And the one in Piccadilly, I was used to it being at the top of the escalators, but it had moved, and I don't know how long it had been, it might have been a while, but it had moved so that it was in the middle of a square of seats, and all of the seats are facing inwards towards the piano.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, great, I'm going to have an automatic audience.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my experience. What actually happened was I sat down and played the piano, and these people, they looked like an audience around an instrument that they were waiting, but they weren't. There were people waiting for trains.
Yes.
They weren't there because they wanted to hear somebody play piano, so they all just pretended I wasn't there. They were all like looking at the phones, completely ignoring me. So I completely ignored them.
Yes.
And then when I got up to go, nobody made eye contact, and I was like, I don't want. Let's all pretend that this just didn't happen. And I just walked away, and it was really slightly surreal.
Zero engagement.
Yeah. And I actually prefer it when I play like at Euston, where the piano is tucked under the staircase, and you play it and everybody ignores you, but it doesn't matter because you're in a corner. So it's not really obvious. It's not very obvious that there's a bunch of people sitting around ignoring you. No. They're ignoring you without it being noticeable that they're ignoring you. So that's actually a better experience.
Just remember, it needs to be located. It's not you. It's not you, honestly. I've sat there and I've rattled off Bohemian Rhapsody. I've done about 4 Queen songs, then done 3 Elton Johns, Robbie Williams, and the same person sat there looking at their phones. They're checking their timetable.
Exactly. They're just waiting for a train.
And you've probably encountered this as well. A lot of people will walk past a street musician. That's fine. Because they think maybe you're being paid to be there, or maybe you're staff, or maybe you're doing it for whatever reason, ulterior motive or whatever. Or gender. You get the odd few people who really love it and engage with it and come over and they chat. I'd say about 15, 30, 20% of people will come over and engage.
No, I've had a few people, and it's really nice. In fact, I think maybe I particularly like it when I play some of them and I get up to leave, and as far as I know, nobody's been paying a bit of notice, but it turns out that there's just one person who's slightly off behind me or off to one side who has been listening to the whole thing, and then they give you a little round of applause, or they say that was great, or and it's
that's what you live for with the street piano. Just the one person who goes, that was great, mate. It's like somebody before you arrived at the Corn Exchange on that grand piano there, like this Piccadilly pianist, Manchester Piano Trail. I played a Queen song, and he leapt up out of the restaurant, came over to shake my hand, and gave me a big hug and said, that was the top, mate. Boss, mate. I was like, it's made my day, that.
Anthony, thank you so much for talking to me. This is fantastic.
Fantastic.
So that was part 1 of the interview with Anthony, and I'm going to release part 2 separately because it contains some major spoilers about the piano TV show. But I'm sure you'd like to listen to Anthony playing the piano, and I've got 2 recordings. I'm going to put the first one now, and the second one will go in the next episode. So here's Anthony playing some Boogie Woogie. Enjoy. Thank you to Anthony Thomas, who provided the theme music, and stay tuned to hear more fascinating stories from street musicians.